if Sadie Sink is playing Jean Grey, and the reason why she's in this movie is because when Peter Parker's going through his mutation, her powers act like a human form of Cerebro, and she's able to find him. By the looks of the trailer, it does look like she's going to be an antagonist. And if some of y'all can't wrap your heads around Jean Grey possibly being a villain, I just want to remind y'all of another redhead that started out as an antagonist. Miss Wanda. When we first meet her in Age of Ultron, she's completely against the Avengers, but eventually she does switch sides. I think the same could happen with Jean, and it makes so much sense because in the trailer we see the DODC agents being kind of mind control, one of Jean's specialties. Not only that, but she's originally from New York in the comics, and if Sadie Sink is playing her, it's a younger version of Jean Grey, which means it's a version of Jean that hasn't been nurtured by Professor X, a version of Jean who's still not completely in control of her powers and is probably so overwhelmed by them. So what if her powers are acting like a human form of Cerebral, which is the machine that Professor X uses to find other mutants? And what that machine does is amplify a telepath's psychic powers. But what if Jean Grey's powers are already doing this on their own, and that's how she finds Peter when he's going through his mutation like we saw in the trailer? I don't think she'll be a villain particularly to Peter, but I think this will come about because she's being threatened by the DODC. And while she's plotting revenge, she doesn't want Peter standing in her way. And I just know Peter would be trying to intervene, trying to convince her or like encourage her to not go about it in a destructive way, which is very Peter Parker coded. Also because she might unfortunately end up making it harder for other vigilantes and superheroes if she does decide to go about it the wrong way, which will probably only lead to the DODC being even more aggressive in their approach at controlling them. Maybe that could be Peter's argument. And the DODC, for those of you who don't know, is an anti-vigilante, anti-superhero police force. Tramel Tillman is reportedly playing the head of the DODC, and we also see him in the trailer. And we know that their mission has been to go after people with powers just like they did with Ms. Marvel, Wonder Man, and also Peter in No Way Home. But it also looks like their budget has been increased, probably by Fisk when he was mayor, which I'm sure we'll see more of in Daredevil Born Again Season 2. Remember, it comes out March 22nd. But I'm not gonna lie, I was initially not convinced that Sadie Sink was gonna be playing Jean Grey, but the trailer completely made me change my mind because story-wise, now it makes so much sense, especially with the involvement of the DODC and also Peter's mutation. And I also saw someone say that she could probably help MJ access her memories with her psychic abilities, which would be so freaking cool. Like, please make it happen. I need her to remember. And even though I kind of wanted her to piece it together on her own, this would also be a really cool approach. It could be like her way of saying thank you to Peter for helping her out because we all know that he's gonna find a way.